What is going on, guys? What is going on? Good evening. Good evening. NVIDIA for real gonna make my year. That's what's up. What's going on, guys? What's good? What's good? Give me 1 second. I gotta post the stream on Twitter too. What's going on, guys? Good evening. Good afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon. All right. These 9:30 streams, man. I just can't get used to them. I don't know why. Fun fact: I actually overslept and missed my pre-market live for the first time in I don't know 6 or 7 months probably today. So interesting day to say the least. But we made up for that and more because took PLTR calls overnight and they are gonna print silly. All right, word. Cool. What's going on, guys? What's good? Yeah, I know. What's going on? Good evening. Fahad, what's up? Raleigh, what's up? Joseph, Devin, Paul, what's going on? Eric, good to see you guys. Ryan, good to see you guys. Chop Bones, good to see you as always. Hi right now. You're a regular. I know. Mans, you own UPST. Thank you. I appreciate that. UPST has been rather good. Guys, if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget, do us a big favor. Just like the stream if you are in here. If you enjoy these streams, you want me to keep doing more of them, it helps us and the channel be able to continue to do these live streams and obviously continue doing what we do. If you like the videos, if you like the streams, please don't forget to subscribe and like the stream. It helps us out a ton. Takes literally 2 seconds. The like button's like right below. You just got to tap that thing. And yeah, I think we hit 250 likes last time, so that was pretty cool. My camera just does not want to cooperate today. What's going on, Zachary? What's going on, guys? Really appreciate all you guys slapping that like button. Means a ton. We're going to get started here in about, I don't know, like a minute and a half. Where are the shades? Come on, man. You thought I was going to come on here without the shades? Crazy. Crazy. Just absolutely crazy. I only get to wear the shades because I have PLTR calls overnight swing. And they're going to print silly. But what's going on, guys? First stream, what's going on? Jacob, Anton, Logan, what's going on, guys? Thanks for doing these free streams. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Love doing them. I know they help you guys out a ton. So what's going on, guys? Appreciate everybody tapping in. Means a ton. I know it's late. I know it's Wednesday evening, but obviously a huge day in the stock market, guys, with this move on NVIDIA after hours. So we're going to talk all about it. I really am going to prioritize this stream and focus on, during the stream, answering as many questions as you guys have. I know that my NVIDIA tweet's like going absolutely insane right now. A ton of people asking me questions about what their calls are going to open at. I'm going to go through like my process for calculating that because it's really fairly simple. And so I'm going to kind of hopefully be able to help you guys a little bit with that. Obviously, this is a unique situation, 25% move on a mega cap tech stock, guys. We do not see that very often, right? So we're going to run through a little bit of that. I'll do as much Q&A as possible. It's going to be really like a way more free and easy, just kind of relaxed stream this time instead of like a set agenda. And then I'm going to cover some of my favorite AI sympathies and trying to just go through what I'm going to be looking at tomorrow, right? Because this is the type of stuff that gives us hot markets. So it's going to be interesting. What's going on, Andrew? Midcoast Traders, good to see you. NVIDIA, absolutely nutty, absolutely insane. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Do hit that like button if you're joining us, guys. Really helps out the channel a ton, helps out the stream a ton. Takes you like 1 second to go down below, hit that like button for us. I think we hit like 250 likes last time, 258 likes. So going to try to top that number this time. Looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Crazy day. Crazy day. Absolutely insane. Tomorrow should be even crazier. It's the last, pretty much the last, it is the last full trading day before the holiday weekend as well. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Good evening, mans. Love the streams, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. That means a ton, Brandon. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Appreciate that, guys. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. Just kind of let everybody roll in, guys. Really appreciate everybody slamming that like button. Appreciate it. What's going on, guys? Yep. Going to be really, really fun. NVIDIA calls are going to be insane. These are going to be up probably. So it depends what strike you have. If you're like 330 and below, probably be like 4,000%. But if you're in like the 350s or above, those are going to be like 7,000, 8,000. You get up to 360s and above, you're talking about 10,000% plus. I think there's some people like the biggest return is going to be, I think, the 370 calls, because the 370 calls were 12 cents at the close. Some kid DM me. Let me find it. This is pretty cool, actually. He DM'd me and he said, "Hey, I think you were helping me. So you answer questions about gains." He sent me this screenshot, guys. He's got one contract of the 370 calls, and he sent this to me, and he has got one contract of the 370 calls. He bought them for 15 cents, and they closed at 12. So from 12 cents, and these are going to open up at probably $12 or more at least. Just absolutely insane. Like, there's going to be some really crooked numbers. Those are going to be like probably like 13 or 14,000% at minimum. Pretty crazy. So really cool for that kid. To give you an idea, he's basically going to turn $15 into a little bit over 1,700, which is insane, right? And this is not typical. Like, let's start off the stream by saying this. I know we're talking about NVIDIA earnings and this crazy move and how much money people are going to make tomorrow. Guys, you have to understand that this is pretty much the equivalent of making a 3-leg parlay on FanDuel and it hitting, right? I mean, that's what this is, right? It's an educated gamble. And you know, personally, I would also rather probably gamble on an earnings report than a 3 or 4 leg parlay, depending on what sport. But like, let's keep this very clear, right? This is something that like I think is fine. Like if you're like taking like calculated risks like once or twice a year, maybe 3 times a year on, you know, something that you have conviction in with profits, like very small amounts. I think that, you know, earnings, not particular earnings, right? So for example, like I took PLTR calls off of NVIDIA, right? Overnight, I swung them. So I didn't play the direct name, right? I didn't play NVIDIA itself. I took the PLTR calls because they're not going to be a complete zero if it doesn't work. And since it did work, right? And PLTR is up 8% after hours, it's probably still going to be like a 400 or 500% move, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking small calculated risks, right? In fact, I think that I'd be lying if I said that my biggest trades haven't come from taking small calculated risks. Like, let me emphasize that to a T before we start the stream. Small calculated risks, right? Like, for example, that kid's risking $15 to turn into 1,700, right? That's pretty sick, right? I think that there's nothing wrong with that, right? So there's a lot of people that are going to be throwing around hate on Twitter. They're going to be like, you take earnings lottos, you're a bitch, whatever. And like, trust me, guys, I think that they're pretty much a waste of money too, but like, so are FanDuel parlays, right? Like it's an educated gamble, right? And I'm never going to be like, oh, like, why would you do that? It requires no skill. Like, dude, that's so sick that people are going to make life-changing amounts of money and hopefully like put that money to good use. Like, I will give you one tip. Anytime that I hit like a massive bagger, like if you're in here and you have NVIDIA calls, like I'll tell you like my first thing that I would do, I would sell and I would withdraw like 80% of those profits at the very least, like into my bank account, like checking account, savings account, whatever. I would get that money out of my brokerage because you're going to think you're hot shit. You're going to think you're like, all right, I'm daddy now. Like I can go around, you know, like, throw like a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. Before you know it, you blow through all your profits, right? And they all go to zero, right? So that's the first thing I would do. Do I think it's going to dramatically drop at open? I do not think so. It's an all-time highs, right? I mean, we're talking about all-time highs here on NVIDIA, guys. Price discovery, right? So big deal. A huge deal. That's why it makes no sense. I'm definitely not coming in trying to short NVIDIA tomorrow. It's in price discovery mode. No thanks. I'm not going to short a stock at all-time highs. What's going on, guys? Good to see everyone in the chat. Manzio and UPST, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for helping us out, of course. Really love doing the free stream, guys. If you guys want to say thank you, you can like the stream. That helps out a ton. What do I think will happen in the stock market after a budget's passed? Probably an initial pump on the budget getting passed, or the debt ceiling resolutions. Good evening, mans. Love the stream. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Everybody kind of rolling in, guys. So appreciate that. 300 people in here already. So we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. Like I said, I just did a kind of like preface to this stream, right? We're talking about like a major move on NVIDIA. That is definitely not typical, right? Insane move. This is going to definitely create some crazy moves tomorrow, in my opinion. So the main part of this stream, guys, the main point of this is to go over NVIDIA a little bit, talk about it. I'll try to answer questions about like what are my 350 calls going to open at. I can give you my best guess only, right? Am I going to stream pre-market? Yes, I will be streaming pre-market in the room. Absolutely. So I'll be back on stream tomorrow. I overslept today, guys. First time in like 7 months. Don't shoot the messenger. What's going on, guys? Good to see everybody in here. Yeah, so I'll be streaming in pre-market tomorrow. So PLTR the moon, I hope so. Looks like it. Up 8% after hours. Great move already. So quickly, guys, I want to talk about calculating, right? A lot of people, right? I got so many replies about calculating profit on NVIDIA calls tomorrow. It's pretty simple, right? Like, so for example, right, we're talking about, I tweeted about the 360 calls because a couple people in our Discord had them. And I was like, wow, that's insane, right? So from the person that we're talking about bought them for $31 per contract, right? And they're probably going to open up at $30 per contract. So $3,000 per contract from $30 per contract at the close, right? And so the best way to calculate this, and I think that just like the simple way, okay, so we know that options have intrinsic value, right? Because that's what options are. They're giving you the right to purchase the shares at a cheaper price, like in this case, right? So like you could exercise those contracts, go on the open market, buy those NVIDIA shares for $360 and keep the $20 difference for profit, right? So those contracts, the 360s in particular, right, are going to have $20 of intrinsic value automatically, right? Because NVIDIA is at 380. So those contracts themselves intrinsically hold $20 worth of value. So at minimum, they are going to, in this case, right, based on where we closed after hours, open up at $20. Bare minimum, right? Some of these options calculators will like give you totally wrong numbers, not account for the move, right? At minimum, they're going to open at 20, right? But then you also have to account for the fact that those contracts are going to trade at a premium to the underlying stock and to the intrinsic value of those contracts, right? So if those contracts are $20 of intrinsic value, there's still 2 days until these expire, right? Thursday and Friday. So you have to account for the fact that those contracts are going to trade at a premium because, like, well, what if NVIDIA goes back to highs at $394? Then those contracts are worth $34, right? So you have to account for the fact that, NVIDIA could continue to go up. So they're going to trade at a premium, right? In my opinion, I think that they're going to be closer to that 25% premium on the intrinsic value. So if there's $20 of intrinsic value because they're $20 in the money, right? 25% premium markup, right, on those contracts would be another $5 or so on top of it. So I'm going to guess those 360 calls open around $2,500 per contract, maybe even $30 per contract, right? So $3,000 per contract from, literally, right, 34 cents at the close is just, it's mind-blowing, right? And that is truly a clear demonstration of the power of options. But it's not as complicated as you think about in terms of calculating, right? A lot of people are like, well, what about the IV? Okay. All these calls that we're talking about, unless you have like the 390s, right? These calls are deep in the money. We're talking about $20 or $30 in the money, guys, right? Those contracts are not going to have the IV is going to be, really like it peanuts at that point, right? Because implied volatility is just not going to have the same effect with contracts $30 in the money, right? So I really, really want to like make that clear, right? If you own those 360 calls, right, and they at open tomorrow, right, or at the end of the week, you want to exercise those, you could go and buy shares of NVIDIA, right, 100 shares of NVIDIA for $300, right, or $360 and keep the difference, right, since it's trading at 380. So they have $20 of intrinsic value. There's going to be a markup on that intrinsic value because they have 2 days until they expire. And so that's how I got to my calculation of, between 25 and $30 per contract at the open tomorrow. So does that make sense? W streams, bro. The morning streams really helpful as well. Yeah, no, I love doing the morning streams. Trust me. They're my favorite part of the day, honestly. Favorite part of the day. Mans, any thoughts on coin at 57? Not really. I'm going to kind of stick to the AI related stocks on this stream, guys, because that's kind of what's going on right now. And I think that's what's going to be the focal point and be hot. I don't know if you guys noticed, but AI is like really coming on the scene here. And it feels like this earnings report from NVIDIA is really like a statement. AI is here to stay, right? That's what it feels like to me, is that this is the kind of earnings report that, if you're short AI after hours, like, well, that sucks, right? It really sucks. So, like I said, AI Biostock, I've never heard of it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about UPST. I'm going to talk about a couple of my favorite sympathies. First off, I kind of want to initially just put out there, I'm not planning to touch NVIDIA tomorrow, period. I'm not going to touch it. I don't chase things up 30%, especially mega cap tech stocks up 30% on earnings. Just not my cup of tea, right? So obviously there's a really nice subset of sympathies, right? So we saw some huge moves after hours, right? AMD, massive move up, right? PLTR, huge move. AI, huge move, right? So now how would you calculate 12.5C on PLTR? Yeah, so again, like that's going to be in the money, right? So like somebody asked how we would calculate PLTR's 12.5 calls. So I have the $13 calls here, right, which I bought for 14 or 15 cents per contract, right? So at the moment, those are now in the money, right? So those are in the money by about 13 or 14 cents. That's nice. I just lost my chart. That's cool. All right. Sweet. All right, we're back. Give me 1 second. There's nothing like having your equipment spaz like mid-stream, guys. It's just kind of like the worst thing you could possibly imagine. What's up, man? Appreciate everything you do, Bo. Appreciate that a ton, man. Really, really appreciate that. So somebody asked, how would you calculate the 12.5 calls on PLTR? So for anybody wondering, just a quick disclaimer, I do have a position in PLTR right now. I took this today for this NVIDIA earnings report, right? Huge move after hours. The calls are going to be insane. I'm very excited about it. But before I talk about it, I do want to kind of make that clear. I do have an open position that I'm going to be actively trading tomorrow in PLTR, so please keep that in mind. Quickly, so like I said, somebody asked, how would you calculate the 12.5 calls, right? So those are in the money, right, by around what? Like 75 cents right now, at least. So at bare minimum, those contracts have 75 cents of intrinsic value, right? And they're going to trade at a premium, right? So like if I was to say, I would probably say those would open, if we open at 13, those would probably open at like 115, 120 on PLTR. The other thing you have to think about, right, is PLTR is one of the main AI sympathy plays. So you have to account for the fact that there's going to be a very large influx of volume, right, on PLTR tomorrow, right? There's going to be people that are gravitating towards this stock because of the fact of how hard it ran last week, right? We know from a psychological perspective, this is the stock that a lot of people had, 2, 3, 4,000% returns on last week, right? Like I fumbled an insane bag on this last week. But I sold my calls for 40%. I'm like, word, clean dub, right? I'm not accounting for the fact that we're in a hot market, right? And the calls ended up ripping 1,000% intraday from my trade that morning on stream, right? They ended up going like, people in the chat all had like 1,000%. I'm like, great, this is awesome, But a win is a win. Nothing wrong with profits, but I wanted to clarify, like, there's a reason I took this. It's because of the fact that it went crazy last week, right? And a lot of people by association are going to be like, okay, PLTR is like one of the better AI sympathies because of how hard it ran last week. And from a fundamental standpoint, I think they're actually like one of the leaders, right, in kind of that next gen AI, arms race, right? I think they've probably got a pretty solid plan in place, and I think that the advancements that they have made is also a positive, right? But from purely a trading perspective, this is a stock that people are going to associate as like the main sympathy in my mind because of what it did last week, right? It's just a huge move. Thousands and thousands and thousands of percents in gains. I think last week the 11 calls went 10,000% from Wednesday to like Friday morning. It was like a 10,000% return. So this is back-to-back weeks. We've had 10,000% moves on weeklies in the option space. So do you have your eyes on any after-hours earnings reports tomorrow? I do not. So I think that PLTR is going to be one of the main sympathies tomorrow. That is why I took the calls overnight. So this is going to be a huge dub. Personally, I'm really excited about it. Like it was a little bit shaky there in the close because it closed kind of weak, and I was like, maybe it's not going to rip as hard, but it ended up getting one of the better moves. In terms of sympathy-wise, we actually made a new 52-week high in after hours, right? So personally for me, what I'm going to be looking at tomorrow on PLTR, right, is can we clear this prior high, right? So up here, right, you see 1342, guys. If we look at the hourly chart, that 1342 level was huge, right? And we obviously gapped up on NVIDIA earnings. So what I'm going to be looking at, okay, is going to be that 1342 level. If we can clear that tomorrow at the open, right, we have to kind of zoom all the way out on PLTR to last year to find, okay, well, where would our next target be? And honestly, as I look at PLTR, first off, this is a fantastic chart, right? Really, really, really high relative volume, guys. It's so important to note relative volume on larger time frames like the weekly. I mean, look at that volume, right? Compared to, the last 52 weeks. It's insane, right? And so that's another reason why I took this is I think it's one of the better charts on the market. It's also been extremely, extremely strong. So if we clear levels and we look at PLTR from just a weekly chart perspective, right? I really think that 1480 zone is kind of where I'm going to be targeting if we see continuation in the AI sympathies, right? You can see that after the kind of growth stock like Armageddon, right? Early 2022, right? We tried to come back up and we ran into a lot of resistance at this 1429, 1483 zone, right? You can see that because of these larger wicks on the weekly chart, right? I talk about notable wicks all the time. I don't use a lot of indicators or really any. I'm primarily, like I said, price action based trader, level to level, right? And so you see these larger wicks on the weekly on PLTR. That's illustrating very strong area of resistance up here in that $14 zone, right? 1483 down to 1436. So really what I'm going to be looking at is if we can clear that hourly high, right, which was the 1340 zone, I really think that, honestly, the next logical target for me would be up here into that 1483 spot. So that's what I'm going to be watching on PLTR tomorrow. There's literally zero guarantees that it goes that high or any of that's going to happen. I'm just, again, stating my personal opinion on the stocks that I think will, do well in terms of the AI theme. You have to remember, guys, there could be bad debt ceiling news tomorrow, and none of these plays could be valid. So I'm literally just talking about the things that I think are going to run the best if the AI theme stays strong, right? So please keep that in mind. What's going on, guys? NVIDIA sympathy stocks. I wish I held my PLTR. Winning is winning. Yeah. I do not plan on holding long-term shares of PLTR. No, I do not. I'm talking about purely from a short-term perspective, right? I'm a short-term trader, guys, 99.9% of the time. So please keep that in mind. Also, I'm talking about the next couple of days, not the next year, 2 years, anything like that. And again, this is not financial advice. This is purely what I am personally going to be looking at going into tomorrow, right? What I think is going to work well. Okay, I'm literally just giving you an inside look into what my game plan is and why I'm going to be looking at these things, right? So please keep that in mind. The 14 zone is really kind of would be my target area if we see good momentum tomorrow on PLTR. And that this is going to, account on NVIDIA staying strong, et cetera. It's just purely one of my favorite charts just based on the volume, right? So, and really from a technical perspective, I think that this has a lot of room up to kind of that high that we made. If we go back towards April of 22 in that 1480 zone, right? So again, I think that they have, I'm not an expert on PLTR's fundamentals by any means, but like I said, I think that they've got, they're kind of associated as being the leader in the space. And from a psychological perspective, people made a lot of money on PLTR last week when AI was ripping, and I think that that's going to hold true again this week. So winning is winning. Yep. Biggest month ever. Awesome. Congratulations. What was the first sign of unusually volume going on with PLTR that made me interested? Just over the past couple of weeks, right? We can see and then we go again, right? What time do I wake up? Normally I'm up at 6:30. That is my standard routine, is to be up by 6 usually. If the market's really hot, sometimes I'm up at 4, right? There was 2020 and 2021, I was up at 4 o'clock every day because the market was that hot. There was, constantly money to be made. So now the market's a little bit different, right? There's not as many mid cap stuff going crazy like at all hours of the night, right? But during like the whole like AMC GME craze, there was stuff always happening, right? So check on your bear friends. They're gonna absolutely murder. Yeah, it is true. Bears cannot catch a break, guys. Just when they think they're gaining a little bit of momentum, Nvidia rips 24%, right? But like I said, guys, that's top watch for me, number one, in terms of the AI theme. I already gave the disclaimer. I have a position in it, so don't ask me. I definitely do, and I'm going to be actively trading PLTR tomorrow, so please keep that in mind. All right, so probably my second favorite chart, and I'll preface this again. I'm not going to chase AMD. I'm not going to chase NVIDIA, right? Personally, I think that the opportunity is in those mid-cap AI names probably, right? Like the mid-cap sympathies like PLTR, right? Upstart, some of those names, right? Another good one could be Google, right? Because Google has ran, very closely alongside AMD and NVIDIA. And Google's chart, I think, is fantastic, right? We broke out last week. We came down today, retested 120. And so I think that from a risk to reward perspective on a mega cap, Google is probably my favorite, right? It's only up 1% after hours. And I think that Google could probably retest those highs of 126. So definitely one of my favorites, right? In terms of the like mega cap space. Personally, when the market gets really hot like this, I think that mid caps offer better risk to reward and just more upside opportunity because they can run, 15, 20% in a day. And as I say that, we have a almost $1 trillion company in NVIDIA, 30% after hours, right? But, the point being, like PLTR can run 14, 15% a day. Upstart can run 20, 30% a day, right? There's a lot of, opportunity there. So I personally like growth in that aspect. So for my favorite mega cap tech chart, though, AI related is going to be Google, right? Retested 120 today. I think that's really attractive for a retest of highs. It's also cooled off, too. So it was running really hot. This can look constructive tomorrow if we bounce and retest highs, right? It would look really constructive at that point, obviously, on Google. So definitely a focus name for me in terms of like mega cap tech. I think that the 125 calls could be interesting, like as a lotto. Otherwise, I'd be looking at like the 123 calls. We're at 122.82 in after hours. So that's personally what I'm going to be looking at, right? There was a lot of selling up at 125 in after hours, and we pulled back. So tomorrow, like in pre-market, right, and as we get into the open, if we start to turn this 122.5 area into support and we open up around here, I'd probably be looking probably at the 123 calls if we're holding that 122.5 zone, right? So definitely a focus for me. If we go back and look, that was an area of support before we broke down, right? So if this turns into support again as we get into the open tomorrow, definitely going to be on watch for me on Google. All right, so I'm going to talk about UPST and then AI itself. Let's talk about AI first. What a move after hours, guys. This is an insane monthly candle that's shaping up here. This stock is just wild, right? Short report killed it, and then it comes back just roaring with a vengeance, right? The last 2 weeks have just been insane. Last 4 weeks have been insane, right? This looks like it's going to retest the top of this range to me. Right? It looks like it's going to retest into 34 because that's how this stock works, right? It's like when it tests the bottom of the range, like usually that same week, like it can automatically test the top, right? We've had multiple weeks where we've traded the entire range within a week, right? I mean, look at, 28, right? 29 down to 20, right? What is this? 30 on the dot down to 2080, right? So there's been multiple times where we've done it. Trades between this range really cleanly. I love trading this stock personally. The only thing I don't like about this stock is that it has the 5-cent spreads on contracts, which is super annoying because you automatically starting in the negative, which I think is like kind of shitty personally. Like for lack of a better term, I just don't love trading it with the 5-cent spreads. But that's awesome. Google earnings after hours tomorrow. Yeah. Even more reason to be focused on primarily growth. So like I said, AI, really nice focus name. Personally, again, I think that it looks like it wants to test the top of this range. It's Thursday on a short week, so that's also really important to remember, guys. Like if you're trading weeklies especially, like automatically my size becomes way smaller on Thursdays and Fridays, obviously, right? It's more of a lotto size with one day to expiration. And it's a short week this week, a short Friday. So keep that in mind if you're trading weeklies, right? So, but if something really wants to go crazy, I think that next week 35 calls on AI look nice. That's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on, right? One of these names is probably going to be some crazy mover, right? And so I'm just kind of rolling through the potential names that I'm going to be having on like my high alert watch list, if you want to call it that. I'm going to have price alerts set personally going into tomorrow, right? So I think Friday is an early close, is it not? I saw the calendar debug posted. I could have swore Friday was an early close. I could be wrong about that, though. My brain's kind of fried, honestly. After the last 2 weeks, I feel like I haven't worked this hard in, like, years. 2 p.m. close on Friday. Man, you almost had me, man. What is that? Guys trying to make me think. My man actually had me thinking I was going crazy. I was like, I definitely think it's an early close on Friday. I was like, I'm almost positive. And then I literally started second guessing myself in my head. I'm like, oh my God. Did I literally just say that and it's not an early close? Like, I'm going to sound like such a dumbass. All right, yeah. Early close Friday. Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right. Let's just clarify that. All right, Mans is not going crazy. All right. Woo! I was about to say, I literally had it just pulled it up, too. I was like, yeah, early close, 2 p.m. All right. Whew. I was like, wow, I really am tired. I was like, my brain actually is kind of fried from the past 2 weeks. Okay, so when do power hour streams come back? When the market warrants it. We're getting close to the point where I'm like, I probably need to be trading the afternoon. So we're going to get back on power hour streams probably next month is my hope. So the Discord's been crazy lately, though. So I know a lot of people have been DMing me about Discord openings for next month. I'm going to do a stream on Monday or Tuesday of next week, guys, Memorial Day, probably on Tuesday night, and I'll go over it. But I'll put out a tweet next week about Discord spot openings for the month of June. So, power hour streams are fun. LD trades, what's going on? Brother, man, what's good? All right, guys. So, one other name that I do want to watch is UPST, and this is probably my second top watch to PLTR. Why? I mean, let's just look at the chart here, guys. What a weekly, right? This weekly is insane, and one of the reasons that I like this name is because of the short interest, right? So if we're going to get some type of crazy blow-off move in the AI space, I'm going to be looking at high short interest, names that have a favorable, right, composition to move like crazy, right? Especially last 2 days of the week. Something I'd be willing to risk small on for a big potential move, right? And I talk about this all the time, guys, but I was saying it to somebody the other night in my replies on Twitter, but options are literally a tool that were created to risk small for potential large gains, right? That's the entire point, is that you don't have to risk the same capital that you do with trading commons or equity, right? The equity, you're tying up a lot more capital. So say you owned a humongous long position on NVIDIA. Options are a tool that's created to say you want to hedge your downside, right? So protect your portfolio during times of turbulence. You could buy puts really far out, risk a couple $1,000s there to keep your entire portfolio safe, because if something really bad does happen, those puts are going to 10x, but that's going to protect you and right, it's going to dish against your loss on the shares, right? So that's kind of the sense in which options were created, right? They're an exposure to risk small and not have to tie up as much capital. So a perfect example is that guy in our Discord that is going to turn 300 into $30K or whatever, right? It's $300, right? Which is probably a very small amount of his portfolio. It's probably 1% account size or less than that, right? 0.01%. And it's going to result in 30K, which is so sick. And that's, I think, really at its core, I'm never a huge proponent of massive size on options, right? I think that, over 10K in weekly positions is just almost like the risk reward just kind of like starts to fade at some point, right? Like you don't need a lot to make a lot, right? That's the whole point. Keep losses small, take dubs, stack wins, manage your risk. That's my system. So it looks like only the bond market closes that early on Friday. Can't think anything else otherwise. Either way, Friday, the end of the day is going to be dead. I swear I saw 2 p.m. close, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll double check on it. Get in, get out, get paid. That's a good motto right there. What's going on, guys? If you are just joining us, please do not forget, if you enjoy these streams, please hit that like button, guys. It helps out the channel a ton. It really, really helps us continue to be able to do these live streams. It literally takes you 1 minute to go down there, click that like button. Helps out the channel a ton. We're so close to 14,000 subscribers, too, on YouTube, which we're really trying to hit. That's a huge goal of ours. So please make sure that if you are not subscribed yet, you hit that subscribe button. That also takes like 0.02 seconds to do. All you have to do is hit the sub button down below. You'll get a notification every time I go live, so you don't have to miss it. You don't even have to go on Twitter. It'll just send you a push notification. You can click it, and it will automatically join the stream. So please don't forget, we're really trying to hit 200 likes. We're at 100 right now on the stream. We're so close, so close. So 3 more likes, we'll be at 100. I think we hit like 270 likes last time, which was so sick. What did he buy 300 to make 30K? He bought the 360 calls on NVIDIA for like 30 cents a pop. You know, think about 10 of them. Yeah. Man, so you think Apple is going to go announce something with AI? I think they already said that they're trying to build, that Apple is restricting employees from using ChatGPT on corporate devices. And because Apple is trying to build a competing right tool to ChatGPT. I think that was announced this past week. So I mean, why wouldn't they, right? Why wouldn't they? I have four 330 calls. I'm geeked. That's going to be insane. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to do Q&A here for 4 minutes till 10:15. It's already been like 45 minutes. Time's flying by. I went over my 3 sympathy trades that I think have potential tomorrow off the AI theme that are like mid-cap growth related. I'm not going to chase AMD. I'm not going to chase NVIDIA. Those are 3 names I think could provide outlier moves. 3 things I like. Like I already disclosed, I have a position in PLTR, so just know. Amazon AI hasn't been announced. Yeah, Amazon was ripping after hours. I saw that. I'm kind of interested to see how Snow kind of bounces back, right? I mean, AMD had the big move tomorrow. So really it's like AMD, Google has earned. So honestly, I think AMD is probably going to be the mega cap name that could go nuts tomorrow, but it's already up 10% after hours, so I'm not going to chase, right? There's no way. There's no chance. That's why I prefer the growth names, because they're just more like from a risk reward perspective, right? I just think they have better risk reward. So you're going to be on another level when they get that deep into it. That's facts. That's a really good point. 108 likes, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love doing these public streams for you guys. Okay, only bond market closes early on Friday, so I was incorrect. You know, I'm going to blame D-Book Trading for that. He posted this on Twitter, and it had me convinced. It's my fault for not fact-checking, okay? You guys get mad at D-Book, not me. Do you recommend a small account with 313 PLTRCs? So I can't tell you, like, I can't recommend what you should do, right? I mean, like, I'll tell you guys this. In my experience, if you're going to open up to, like, a humongous day, my system, if I'm waking up to, like, you want to call it, like, a fall in your lap kind of W, my, like, game plan is always sell 80%, keep a couple contracts as, or keep one contract as a runner, and be happy, right? Like the one contract helps you to avoid FOMO, but taking gains at the open is always kind of the move, right? Like there's been, multiple times, right? Especially when I first started trading where I had wins like that and I got really greedy and I stayed in them too long and gave back a ton of gains, right? When I would have made triple the money if I had just sold it open. And there's definitely been times where I would have made a ton more money, like in coin this past February, I would have made like 10,000%. Instead, I sold for 3,000%, right? But like from a risk reward perspective, especially if you're trying to build a small account, like what I would do personally, and that's all I can tell you is what I would do. You have to figure out what you should do. I can't obviously recommend or anything like that, but I can just tell you like what I would do. I would, keep one as a runner, avoid FOMO, and take gains, right? Like it's a good habit to get into, in my opinion. And so that's what I would do. And that's probably what I'm going to do with my position, right? Is take a bunch of gains and then leave some and, reevaluate, right? So NVIDIA are at 360. Seems healthy, yeah. All markets close Friday at 2 p.m. Why can we not get a straight answer on this? I think that's right. I think we are closed at 2 p.m. I think Memorial Day is like early close, but how do I calculate 7C call at 310? I don't know what that means. If you guys are curious about what NVIDIA calls are going to open at, a bunch of people hit me up on Twitter and asked me if you go to that NVIDIA tweet about the 360 calls. It's in you go to the replies, like pretty much I think like 14 different strikes were mentioned, and I replied to like almost all of them. So, and I gave my best estimate based on where NVIDIA closed at. So do keep that in mind for sure. I don't know. Like I said, I just ran through the top 3 names I'm going to watch tomorrow. AI, PLTR, obviously Google, AMD, and then UPST. Those are going to be the top like 4 names that I'm going to be watching. And if there's no like real AI momentum left, which is totally a possibility, I'm probably just going to like not try to force things because on those big days like that, if the theme doesn't continue, it ends up being like usually a choppy day. So we will see. That's just my game plan, right? That's what I'm going to be looking at. I think AMD should be interesting. The chart is insane on AMD, but it's already up 8%, so it's harder for me to like want to chase a mega cap name up 8% already, right? But these are the names that I think are worth watching. I'm going to probably definitely take some profits on PLTR at the open and then ride some. But UPST, Google, those are the names that I'm definitely going to be watching for sure. So but like I said, I think that there's going to be some good moves, right? Like AI is still like from a risk reward perspective could probably see that 34 mark. I think there will be moves that continue tomorrow personally, but we'll have to see, right? We will have to see. All right, confirm. Markets close at 2 p.m. If nothing else, at the end of the stream, we got to the bottom of that. All right, guys, quick stream tonight. I just quickly kind of ran through a few names that I think could be interesting off of the AI theme. I gave my reasoning why. If you want to go back, rewind the stream, and look at them, you're more than welcome to. I love doing these public streams, guys. If you enjoy them, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as it helps us out a ton and allows us to keep doing these. So please don't forget to do that on your way out. Really appreciate everybody coming in and tuning in. It's going to be a crazy day. Congratulations to anyone in NVIDIA calls or any of the other AI names. It's going to be a huge morning for you guys. Enjoy. Trade smart. Trade safe. Stick to those A+ setups. Public stream Monday, Tuesday. I'll announce it on Twitter, and I will see you guys there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. It means the world to me when you guys watch these, so I really, really appreciate it. Of course. Peace out.